effect from the All Progressive Congress, APC, to join the People's Democratic Party. It is pertinent to note that the APC in Gombe State has been plunged into crisis arising from lack of internal democracy and purposeful leadership, charade and manipulated congresses with unresolved contestation amongst its members. The APC in Gombe State is nosediving and losing its membership in droves, including government appointees and party officials, due to the glaring injustice and lack of fair play by the so-called leadership who hijacked the party to selfish reasons, hence my decision to leave the party. I took the decision after wide consultations with my family, political associates, constituents, and all my supporters. My decision to join the opposition PDP is to further enable me to continue to bring development and progress to my constituency, Gombe State, and Nigeria at large. Mr. Party well, Honorable Yaya Bauchi, Congo. Minority Leader, do you have any point of order? Any constitutional point of order? Is this in order? Is this, huh? Are you going to object to this?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain honorable to be God in the Lelu, and I represent the good people of Anoto Electoral Consensus. I'm from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, my submission is to applaud you for having the courage to read out the letter, and also let Nigerians know that more are coming back to their original home. Because when things that are right happen, you see it clearly. Today, APC has 92 party chairmen in the state. They have not been able to reconcile them, and I hope they will before 26th of February that they are doing their convention. So, like I said, you're a great man. A great man, and we welcome many others. Mr. Speaker, waiting for after convention, you and I will talk. There are lots that will happen after convention.
Thank you very much, Minority Leader. First of all, it wasn't a matter of courage, it was a matter of obligation. I am obligated to read any letter of defection, wherever it may be coming from. Second of all, I thought, well, let it be on record, that this is the first time, you always refer to, you have it in your head, Section 68, Section 1G, or whatever it is, that stops somebody from defecting. This is the first time that you're not citing that constitutional provision. Let's just last. On the issue of fuel subsidy, which has come to a head today in Nigeria. That issue has been there for a long time. Like I said, it has now come to a head, and I think it's time for the House to take some major steps to give direction as to which way to go. But before anything like that can be done, it's important that we find out, we do a thorough investigation to determine exactly how much PMS is consumed in Nigeria per day. Nobody has a figure, and we need to figure out exactly what we're consuming in Nigeria. Because it's only after you figure out what is consumed that you can even begin to talk about whether you should have fuel subsidy or not. That's number one. Number two, we need to also investigate thoroughly state of this will cost to have them functional. this House is now saddled with the responsibility of one, determining how much consumption or how much fuel we consume on a daily basis, and not relying on some phantom figure. It's going to be painstaking and it's going to be thorough. Two, what exactly is the state of our refineries and what do we need to bring our refineries back into maximum use? Those two things have to be determined before we even get to the issue of full subsidy. So I will set up a very tight ad hoc committee of 12 members for each of those two. One committee on the issue of how much we consume will be headed by Honorable Abdullahi Ningi. And on the issue of the state of the refineries, Engineer Johnson will chair that. The rest of the members of that committee will be announced before the close of business today. So, any petitions? You don't have any petition today? Huh? None today? All right. Honorable Professor Julius Yovere, you have a matter of urgent public importance.
Mr. Speaker, Professor Julius Yovere, representing Owan Federal Constituency, Edo State. I have a matter of urgent public importance in line with Order 824 on the creeping resurgence of military coups in the West African sub-region. With your permission, I can go ahead. 4-7. 4-7.
Honorable Zana, can you please second?
Speaker, I'm Honorable Zana Usman, representing the people of Kagabu Mary Federal Constituency. I'm from Borno State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my chairman, Professor Julius Yovere. I so second.
Prof. Well, those who believe this matter is urgent, the issue of military coups, let's say aye. Let's get to say nay. Ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, the matter of urgent public importance is on the creeping resurgence of military coups in the West African sub-region. The House notes with high apprehension the frightening emerging trend of military coups in the West African sub-region, the most recent being in Burkina Faso, being part of a resurgence of a coup culture in West Africa. Further notes that for the fourth time in only 6 months, coups d'etat have precipitated the transfer of power in West Africa, most recently in Mali with the overthrow of President Ibrahim Keita, in Chad with the takeover of power by the military following the death of President Idriss Deby, in Guinea with the overthrow of President Alpha Condé, and in Burkina Faso a few days ago with the overthrow of President Roch Kabore. Also notes that this illegal takeover of power from democratically elected governments violates several national constitutions, international conventions, and protocols established by multilateral organizations, donors, and development partners. Aware that since Nigeria the traditional powerhouse in the sub-region transited from military to civilian governance in 1999, there has been a strong sense that the days of military coups are effectively over, but with this emerging trend, that positive perception is now being reversed with the rather quick successive coups in the aforementioned countries, alarmed that coups subvert political processes, promote tensions and violence, suffocate democratic spaces, suppress basic freedoms, contain civil society, and promote corrupt undemocratic governance. Convinced that if the trend is not immediately and firmly checked, it could erode the democratic achievements made thus far, distorting the emerging culture of constitutionalism and promote opportunistic and undemocratic actors in the region and by extension, the continent. Resolves that the House condemn the coups in the strongest terms possible. 2, urge the federal government to strongly condemn the coups, impose strong sanctions, and mobilize other nations and stakeholders to impose very extensive sanctions. 3, urge civil society organizations across the sub-region and internationally to condemn the coups, support civil society, political parties, and parliaments to work for the immediate restoration of democratic governance in the affected nations. And 4, call on the United Nations and its agencies, as well as the international community at large, to impose total sanctions on those countries where coups have taken place in West Africa. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Honorable Elumelu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Ndudi Godwin Elmelu, and I represent the good people of Anyocho Shimeli Federal Constituency. I'm from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second this motion moved by Prof. I so second.
Prof, just give us 1 minute of add some flesh to that.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for this opportunity to make 1 or 2 comments on the motion. As Nigerians, we've experienced coups, counter coups, attempted coups, and in West Africa, there's virtually no country that has not experienced one or the other. In the last 2-3 years, there have been not less than 10 attempted coups in the West African sub-region. These attempts, even successful ones, clearly go against the current norms in the international system. In many countries in West Africa, and including other parts of Africa, they have had to go to the extent of writing into the Constitution that any attempt to overthrow the Constitution is manifestly illegal and should be resisted by citizens by any means necessary. If you read the Constitution of Ghana, you will find it there. If you find that of Uganda, you will find it there. And I know in South Africa, they also have portions of the Constitution deliberately saying that the Constitution is supreme, cannot be overthrown. But see, some of these military chaps in West Africa have no regard or respect for the Constitution. In Nigeria, so far so good. We manage our contradictions, we manage the fault lines, we try to accommodate our differences while still having very robust political engagements. What we're trying to achieve with this motion, Mr. Speaker, is that we do not want this culture to continue. West Africa has suffered, we are lagging behind in growth and development. You take all the development indices, the Human Development Index established by the UNDP, you find all the countries in West Africa lagging behind others. And part of the problem is the inconsistency in governance. You know, parliaments are suspended, constitutions are suspended. When they come back, they start to learn afresh. There's suffocation of civil society. People cannot speak and enjoy their basic freedoms. There's an attempt to even distort the process of growth because there is no consultation, no debate, no arguments. So we're saying Nigeria, as the powerhouse of West Africa, must continue to take a very strong stand against undemocratic governance. And this House that represents the people must protect the people by ensuring that never again in the history of Nigeria do we have that experience of martial music and somebody telling us what to do. If it continues to spread, the time will come when even parliamentarians like this cannot gather. This place will be hollow. Nobody will be here. And if we don't speak out, Mr. Speaker, history will not forgive us. Our children will not forgive us because they will know at a particular time in history when we were required to speak and act, we were loudly silent. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. So the thrust of your motion, the prayer is basically for national and international condemnation and sanctions. Yes. Okay. Those in favor, please. Oh, sorry. You needed to add something.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Herman Himbe. I'm from Plenary. Mr. Speaker, I am also in tune with the prayers of that motion. It's in order. We should at all times condemn undemocratic means used to take over power wherever it happens. Having said that, I also want to use this opportunity of what has happened in that country to caution against despotic leaders. Though that country witnessed a sitting president who used the power available to him as donated to him by the people to increase for himself a term and was running a third term in office, the people were having a very difficult time. And in the course of that, the military struck. I condemn completely what the military has done, but you must also look at the fact that when that happened, as opposed to what he said is the law in Ghana, where people are encouraged to come out and resist such military incursions into power, the people came out in solidarity with the military. Not because they don't want democratic governance, but more because what they had was far from what they were hoping, what they would ordinarily desire. Democracy, they say, is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. When an individual or a group decide to make that democracy about themselves, for themselves, and to benefit themselves, things like this are bound to happen. So while we condemn this coup overthrow, the military overtakeover of governance in Burkina Faso and elsewhere, we must also ensure to encourage those who are privileged to hold political office to understand that they hold it in trust for the people who put them there and cannot begin to appropriate it as they choose and elongate their stay and make the people's lives miserable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Buba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Yusuf Bubayakub. I represent Gombe Home Federal Constituency from Adamawa State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to totally condemn the coup plot that took place in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, and of recent in other countries of West Africa. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the mover of the motion for bringing up this motion this morning. As a House of the People, we really need to condemn in total what is happening in the West African coast. Because if we keep silent, it will continue to happen in other countries. And in this 21st century, the era of military dictatorship has become old-fashioned. So it surprises me to see countries where some young military men will just wake up to topple democratically elected government. Democracy and governance is about the people and is for the people. So I also add my voice to condemn in total any military coup. And I want to call on the ECOWAS to come up with every necessary sanction and use everything within their power to see that these countries that have found themselves in this recent coup are brought back to civilian rule with immediate effect. I know the ECOWAS as a body have powers and have different means, either through economic sanctions or even through military use, to go into these countries and force back democracy on the people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, thank you, Honorable the Chief Whip, then Honorable Chief Whip, then Honorable Abbas, and then Minority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marjet Monguno Nganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I'm making my contribution against the premise of the fact that the worst form of democracy is far better than a benevolent dictatorship. So as such, we should always strive to jealously guard and protect our hard-earned democracy, especially in the West African sub-region. We have now started witnessing the ugly scenario of military men in uniform usurping power through the instruments of coercion that is given to them in trust for the defense of the territorial integrity of their respective countries, is now used against the people to usurp power illegally and force an undemocratic governance on the people with all its attendant obnoxious and draconian laws that they will subsequently pass to govern the people, laws that are not in consonance with the wishes and aspirations of the people. So against this backdrop, and against the backdrop of what I have said earlier, that the worst form of democracy is better than a benevolent dictatorship. As such, we should jealously guard and protect democracy, and ECOWAS should stand off and condemn in totality and do everything, deploy all its arsenal to protect democracy in the West African sub-region. Thank you.
Honorable Abbas. Honorable Raji, please. Minority Leader. Thank you, Honorable Abbas. And the Minority Leader, if you can approach the chair after your contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, I remain Honorable Ndidi Godwin Elmelu, and I represent the good people of Anyocho Shimili Federal Constituency. I'm from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, let me in clear terms join the mover of this motion and others that have spoken to condemn all the military coups we have had in West African region and African continent. Mr. Speaker, while condemning it, it is also a time for us to talk to ourselves, especially the leaders in African continent, because the manner in which the people are suffering, the manner of bad leadership that is pervading the African continent is something that we must look into. While we are against military coup, it is now time for our leaders to live up to expectation. It is now time for our leaders to ensure that the people that they lead, that they are giving the effective, good governance that will mitigate against them having any bad feelings. It's not enough in as much as we do not, no matter what, accept any military coup, anywhere, anyhow, in any guise. But it's a time for us to assess ourselves, assess our leaders across the African continent. When you go outside the African continent, people make mockery of us. Why? Because in African continent we have all the natural resources that naturally we should not be lacking. We are here. We were here when Dubai started. Today all of us want to visit Dubai. Most people want to buy houses in Dubai. Some want to go to other countries of the world to buy houses or escape or even trying to get passport. International passport of those countries. Why so? Because of bad leadership that we're experiencing in African continent. So I think that while we condemn the coups that have taken places in all these West African countries, it is also time for our West African Parliament and African Parliament to live up to the expectation of finding a way to reach out to these leaders and draw their attention that the bad leadership that is pervading us is responsible for anybody to think of using gun to come into power. Today, not only in Nigeria, even in Ghana, wherever, the simple thing, food items, is skyrocketing. And the common human beings can no longer afford them. You want to talk about education? It's difficult. I saw in the social media where somebody was lamenting that even the school fees they used to pay before for a little amount of money has just suddenly been increased. And even the way, the manner that families can even come to pay such school fees is difficult. Whereas in most African countries, when we are campaigning, first of the things that we put in front is free education. The moment we win, it's no longer an issue. It will never come in the front burner. When we're campaigning, we make promises that will give quality water, good roads, stable electricity, good healthcare system. In all the African continent, it's no longer like that. Whereas we prefer to go to places like Dubai, Israel, Saudi, name it, for medical check. This must stop. The African Parliament must live up to the expectation to resolve some of these issues. If not checked, we will continue to experience what is happening in West African region. So I think that it is time, and it's a wake-up call for all African countries to ensure that when they want to put a leader, that they remove the issue of what he must give them before they vote, and think of who they can put that will represent their interests and reorganize the country that they all belong to. When that happens, then, of course, there will be no need for anybody in uniform to think of even thinking, not to talk of attempting. So, Mr. Speaker, I think that the blame is on us. I think that it's high time we, people that are representing our people, wake up and do what is needed of us. And for us, the parliament, let us forget about the party that we belong to. But let's think of the people that have voted us into office and ensure that we'll do the right thing to represent their interests. If we do this, then we'll have a better African continent. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much. Leader, please approach the chair. The last comment will be from Luke, and then we have to put the question and move on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Onofiok Akpan Luke. By the grace of God, I hold a mandate of the people of Etinan, Nsiribom Surubim Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to first appreciate the mover of that motion and to say that it is timely, in the sense that we have seen the benefit of democracy, not only for us as a people in this country, but we've seen the benefit of democracy globally. And so, Mr. Speaker, it is right and trite for us to rise and condemn any act or act of any individual or individuals who will want to or who have truncated democracy in their region. Mr. Speaker, permit me to add that I want to say that this is a time that calls for the role that Nigeria has been playing in the West African sub-region, the role that Nigeria has played in stabilizing democracy in the sub-region. We are aware of the role of Nigeria in Liberia in time past. And again, we are aware of the role of Nigeria presently. Permit me to say that we appreciate this present government, appreciate President Muhammadu Buhari and the entire government for trying to continue to play that role in making sure that democracy in the sub-region is stabilized. But Mr. Speaker, if we don't see challenges, we might not appreciate what others are doing. And so it is on this note that I want us to equally appreciate the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, but with the support of Mr. President, that he has gone in West African sub-regions, he has gone to Mali, he has been in different countries trying to ensure that there is stability of democracy. And so my position is that I appreciate the effort of President Muhammadu Buhari and appreciate equally the effort of former President Goodluck Jonathan in sacrificing his time, energy to bring the peace which his acceptance of the election, conceding to the election in 2015, has brought to Nigeria and extending that peace to the West African sub-region. And this calls for another role, another burden on his shoulders, that he should continue with what he's doing in West African sub-region. And for us here as a country, we must rise. Thank God that we are in the leadership of ECOWAS Parliament. We must use the platform of the Parliament to condemn every attempt of usurping power, usurping power by the barrels of the gun. Power should be gotten through the ballot box, and we have seen the benefit of getting power through the ballot box, and we must do all that we can to support it. My main plan here, Mr. Speaker, is that President Goodluck Jonathan deserves an accolade and deserves appreciation and commendation for the work he has done in the West African sub-region. That is my position, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Luke. Those in favor of this motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, earlier on this morning, I announced that I will be setting up 2 ad hoc committees that I believe are all important for the development of petroleum industry and to address the issue of fuel subsidy. One is a committee that will look into how much fuel we consume as a nation on a daily basis. We have had figures bandied here and there without any authenticity. Before we can even begin to talk about subsidy, like I said, we need to know how much we are consuming. The second is to look into the refineries and the state of repair or disrepair, and determine what is needed or what will be needed to bring refineries back to life again. I think these two questions need to be answered before we jump into the issue of subsidy. The committee on to determine the consumption of fuel in Nigeria solely, and that's all their mandate is to determine the consumption of fuel in Nigeria. Will be headed by Honorable Abdullahi Nengi. The members are Honorable Satomi, Honorable Professor Yovere, Honorable Zana, Honorable Abejide, Honorable Labonta, Honorable Chinda, Honorable Nwangwuba, Honorable Obanikoro, Akin Alabi, Honorable Bagos, Honorable Maki, Honorable Oshoba, Honorable DK Chisom, Honorable Prince Obi. That's a 14-man committee. I restricted the numbers to 14, and that there will be no co-opting by anyone of any other member. That committee has 4 weeks to present its report. And in doing their work, they should not restrict themselves to the NNPC or figures by the NNPC, being an interested party, of course. And they should go far and wide and talk to experts, talk to labor, talk to national and international experts and those who will know. Talk to the motor vehicle registration centers. We just need to determine how much petrol we consume. And a lot of that will be a function of how many cars there are in the first place. Talk to the transport associations, talk to every organization and deal with facts, figures, and documents. The second committee will be headed by Engineer Johnson. That is to look into the refineries. And members are Honorable Buba, Honorable Fred Obua, Honorable Mayowa, Honorable Dedere, Honorable Isiaka, Honorable Okudili, Honorable Raji, Honorable Zachary, Honorable Stanley, Honorable Mansour Soro, Honorable Aneko Umana, Honorable Lododo, Comrade Aminu, and Honorable Johnson Oguma. So that also is a 15-man, they're both 15-man committees, and their job is to strictly delve into the issue of refineries. It will require, now those two committees will require thorough and painstaking work. But I think those two questions are very fundamental, very, very fundamental to the ongoing debate that has engulfed us in this country today. So moving right along, the first business of the day is the presentation of two reports of the Committee on Science and Technology, standing in the name of Honorable Benny Lara. Honorable Lara is invited to present the report.
Constituency in Plateau State. Mr. Speaker, may I move for the presentation of the report that the House do receive the report of the Committee on Science and Technology on a bill for an act to establish the National Institute of Oil and Gas Technology and Entrepreneurial Studies at Edwema, Imo State, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration, provide for detailed identification of areas in oil and gas technology and skills acquisition, entrepreneurial studies, and for related matters. I so move, Mr. Speaker. For an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Computer Forensics of Nigeria and for related matters. I still move, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, is anybody to second the two reports? Honorable Leke.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, Honorable Leke Abejide is my name. I represent the good people of Yagba Federal Constituency. I'm from Kogi State. I rise to second the motion moved by Honorable Benila. I so second.
Honorable Benila, you may lay your report, please. The second business of the day is presentation of 3 reports of the Committee on Customs and Excise. Standing in the name of Honorable Leke Abejide, Honorable Abejide is invited to present the report.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Leke Abejide. I represent the good people of Yagba Federal Constituency. I'm from Kogi State. I move that the House do receive the report of the Committee on Customs and Excise on the investigative hearing on the unrest in Iseyin, local government area for your state, due to the killing of indigenes by the men of Nigerian Customs Service. And I create your indulgence to also add the remaining reports. That the House do receive the report of the Committee on Customs and Excise on the investigative hearing on the murder of innocent people of Jibia by the Border Drill Joint Patrol. And lastly, that the House do receive the report of the Committee on Customs and Excise on the investigative hearing on the brutal murder at Igangan, Igbora, Ayete, Tapa in Barapa area for your state. I so move, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Benila, please second. Where is she? Honorable Benila wanted to know why women were not included in any of the 2 committees.
Constitutional amendment. I'm praying that when it comes, the House will accommodate our 35%.
Yeah.
And we want to see it happen, even in the gender.
It will happen.
May I My name is Benny Lam, representing Lantern North and South. The only female sitting here because all the women are in the Constitutional Conference Committee, Review Committee of the Constitution. May I second this motion? And please permit me to leave for the conference since.
Thank you. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Babajide, please lay your report. The first order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Nursing in Maiha, Adamawa State, and for related matters standing in the name of Honorable Abubakar Magaji Jafar. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 28th of May, 2021, and now invite Honorable Jafar to move that the bill be now read a second time. Please speak to the mic. We can't hear.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Jafar Abubakar Magaji is my name. I represent Mubi North, Mubi South, and my Federal constituency of Adamawa State. Mr. Speaker, sir, my respected honorable colleagues, I thank you for the privilege to lead the debate on the general principle of this important bill that seeks to establish Federal College of Nursing in Maiha, Adamawa State. This bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Thursday, 20th May 2021. Mr. Speaker, sir, nursing education is a very essential subject of concern given the fact that it plays an integral role in the formation and strengthening of nurses both in the educational and the clinical setting globally. Nursing is at the center of healthcare delivery in Nigeria. The high levels of maternal mortality ratio in Nigeria is estimated at 630 per 100,000 live births, WHO 2011, is an indicator of serious maternal health needs. Recruitment and retention of appropriate number of health personnel is crucial for maternal death reduction. Although Nigeria has a relatively high number of nursing personnel, yet there is a still significant shortage of nurses that are required to meet the health needs of not only people of Maiha and Embarons, but country at large. Maiha local government area has a high number of population and does not have enough personnel to help its health care delivery, despite having a number of healthcare centers. The need for establishment of such institutions will greatly improve healthcare in that area. I therefore urge the House to support the bill. I so move. Thank you.
Okay, any seconder? Idris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Kabir Idris, member representing Kura, Adobe, Garumal, and Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I'm from Kano State, and I rise to support this very important bill for the first time by Honorable Magaji. I so support, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Seconded by Kabir Idris. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to provide for establishment of Federal College of Nursing, Meha, Adamawa State, and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Health Institutions. Second order of the day is commencement of debate of the general principles of a bill for an act to establish the Federal Road Safety Commission Academy as a degree awarding institution to provide academic and professional training and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Akifolari Mayowa Samuel. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Wednesday, 8 October 2021, and I invite Honorable Mayowa to move that the bill be read a second time.
Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my name is Akifolari Mayowa Samuel. I represent Ileoluji Okego Ojigbo Federal Constituency. I am from the Sunshine State, Ondo. I rise on behalf of other members of Road Safety Commission to move that a bill for an act to establish Federal Road Safety Commission Academy as a degree awarding institution to provide academic and professional training and for related matters be read this second time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, Honorable DK. It's not here. Chinedu. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Emeka Chinedu. I represent the good people of Ahia Bisesi, the federal constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Imo State. I rise to second the motion, ably moved by my good friend, Honorable Mayowa. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Federal Road Safety Commission Academy as a degree awarding institution to provide academic and professional training and for related matters. Second reading.
The bill is referred to the Committee on Federal Road Safety Commission. Is Raji? Is Honorable Raji still on the floor? Okay, that's it. Okay, he's coming. The third order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Land Resources Technology, Raba, Sokoto State, to provide full-time courses, teaching instructions and training in environmental sciences, agricultural technology, natural sciences, agronomy and extension. And for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Ibrahim Al-Mustafa Aliu, our members recall that the bill was read for the first time on Wednesday, 6 November 2029. Now I invite Honorable Aliu to move that the bill be read a second time. Who's acting for, okay, Chairman of Business and Rules? Is Honorable Aliu.
Speaker, honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Samflata. I represent Plenary Creek as I'm a Federal Constitution, Mr. Speaker. I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I move that the third bill on the order paper by Honorable Ibrahim Mustafa Aliu is not on the floor. I move that the second reading of the bill be stepped down by the leave of the House. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so the bill is stepped down. The fourth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish the Federal Medical Center, Rogo, in Kano State, and for related matters standing in the name of Honorable Haruna Dederi. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read in first time on Wednesday, 22nd of September 2020 now, and I invite Honorable Dederi to move that the bill be read a second time.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members. My name is Honorable Haruna Isa Dederi, representing RIA Logo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Kano State. I rise, Mr. Speaker, to move that a bill for an act to establish the Federal Medical Center logo in Kano State and for related matters, HB 1606, be read the second time. Mr. Speaker, I so move. Thank you.
Honorable Assad, please. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Musa Umar Garu, member representing Gorzakawa Federal Constituency. I rise to second the bill ably presented by Honorable Barrister Dediri. I so second.
Okay, let's put the question. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk, please read the long title.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Federal Medical Center, Rogo, Kano State, and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill is referred to the Committee on Health Institutions. Fifth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Agriculture in Kayama, Kwara State, to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration of related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Mohammed Omar Bio. Our members will recall that the bill was read for the first time on Wednesday, 9 June 2021, and now call on Honorable Bio to move that the bill be read a second time.
The Right Honorable Speaker, my dear colleagues, Mohammed Omar Bio is my name.
Comrade, can you please act as the leader for today?
Mohammed Omar Bio is my name. I speak for
You want it
all
permanent?
people of Bautin and Kayama Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I come from Kwara State.
Well, at least you can start by practicing. Go on, Honorable Bill.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that a bill for an act will establish a Federal University of Agriculture in Kayama, Kwara State, to make a comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matters. You read for the second time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Acting leader, can you second? You are still not used to that.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to second the preposition as appropriately moved.
In what capacity are you rising to second?
as an aspirant hoping to occupy this place permanently. Honorable Speaker.
You know, there are certain qualifications. How many do you have? You know what I mean, right? How many do you have?
No, that may disqualify me if I go to that area. I don't want to share that.
Okay. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. That is it. Thank you, Honorable Bill. Clerk, please read the long title.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Federal University of Agriculture, Kayama, Kwara State, to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration, and for related matters. Second reading.
Okay. Bill referred to the Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions. The sixth order of the day is a motion on need to investigate unclaimed funds in Nigerian commercial banks and the infractions by the Central Bank of Nigeria, standing in the name of Honorable Bagos. Honorable Bagos is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I am Dachun Musa Bagos, representing the good, great people of Jos South, Jos East Federal Constituency, from the peaceful state of Plateau. The need to investigate unclaimed funds in Nigerian commercial banks and the infractions by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The House notes that the bank verification number, BVN, was introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria in 2014 to the Nigerian banking system as a way of checking and combating money laundering, illicit financing, and duplicitous ownership of bank accounts used for fraud. Also notes that about 7 years after the introduction of the BVN into the Nigerian banking system, about 45.85 million bank accounts across Nigeria are yet to be linked to BVN as data released by the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System. On June 23, 2021, disclosed that the total number of bank accounts in Nigeria as of May 2019 is pegged at 122.071 million, and the active accounts as of May 2020 stood at 72.936 million. Further notes that the financial experts have held the position and there exists suspicious bank deposits dictated after Nigerian adopts the bank verification number, running into trillions of naira left unclaimed in Nigerian banks because their owners had failed to register BVN or link to existing ones where appropriate. aware that the commercial banks in Nigeria have adamantly disobeyed and continue to hold on to the monies out of failed transactions more than necessary against the directives of the Central Bank of Nigeria and to the detriment of Nigerians. Worried that despite the introduction by the Central Bank of Nigeria, the bank verification number to curb the menace in the financial sectors, about 71 million customers still use their accounts without the compulsory identification per data from the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, NIBSS. Concerned that the lack of legal regulatory framework and political will to deal with the unclaimed assets, especially funds abandoned and trapped in commercial banks, will continue to put Nigeria behind so many countries in the world that have developed the legal framework to deal with these assets. Also worried that the recent disclosure about the funds collected by commercial banks on behalf of some key ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government to the tune of 1.2 trillion in revenues they generated but failed to remit to the Federation's account since 2016 as required by law. Also concerned that some commercial banks have refused to remit to the government fees and levies collected on behalf of government agencies and departments in the last 10 years. Disturbed that although the Central Bank of Nigeria has the statutory responsibility of regulating commercial banks in the country, they have failed in their responsibility to carry out the necessary oversight on the commercial banks. Disturbed that although the Central Bank of Nigeria has not been transparent in the implementation of these intervention programs and projects and have shown an almost zero level of accountability and transparency before the National Assembly in respect of funds generated both locally and internationally. The House do resolve to 1, set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the suspicious and unclaimed funds sitting with commercial banks. 2, mandate the committee to also investigate the unremitted funds collected on behalf of agencies and departments of the federal government by commercial banks. 3, also mandate the committee to look into several infractions by the Central Bank of Nigeria against the provisions of enabling act and laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the good people of Nigeria, especially in the area of intervention projects and programs, to report back within 8 weeks for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues.
Honorable Mama, please second. Honorable Magos, please approach the chair. How you doing?
Honorable Gololo. Honorable Gololo.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Honorable Ifeanyi Chudimoma remains my name. I speak for the people of Ihiala, Federal Constituency. I'm from Anambra State. I rise to second the motion as moved by Honorable Dachung Bagos. I so second. Thank you.
Who's Those in support, please say aye. Okay, very good. That was just a test run. What's your amendment? What's your amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me protection. I am Honorable Dauda Zakaria Nyampa, member representing the good people of Madagali Michika Federal Constituency from Adamawa State. Mr. Speaker, having seen this motion and the importance it has for Nigeria and the Nigerian economy, I want to amend that we add the funds of federal government that were trapped in bank, especially when contracts were given to Nigerians. There is advance payment guarantee that the bank will hold. And in the process of some of this contract being abandoned, those monies are still trapped in the bank. That's my amendment, Mr. Speaker, that they add to this motion.
I think members thought your amendment was something different.
Yes.
But I think, does this motion capture, because what he's saying is important, does it?
No.
It's already there.
It's not there, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so if it's not there, so it will come as it will not come as.
Mr. Speaker, the motion has to do with levies, revenue collected, but these are money that's supposed to go to contractors.
Any seconder for the amendment? They say it's there, but just to.
It's not there. In relation to contract executed, Mr. Speaker.
Second, please.
Okay.
Honorable Jafar.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Jafar Abubakar Magaji is my name. I represent Mubi North, Mubi South, and Maiha Federal Constituency of Adamawa State. I rise to second the amendment made by my colleague, Honorable Zakaria Dauda Yampa. I so second.
Those in support that the trapped government funds be included as part of this motion, please say aye. And those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Ayes have it. The seventh order of the day is a motion on need to increase funding for innovation and technology research in tertiary institutions in Nigeria, standing in the name of Honorable. Those in favor of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. The seventh order of the day is a motion on need
to increase funding for innovation and technology research in tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Stand in the name of Honorable Babajimi Benson. Honorable Benson is invited to move the motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain Babajimi Benson. I represent the very good people of the Ikorodu Federal Constituency, Lagos State. The title of my motion is the need to increase funding for innovation and technology in tertiary education in Nigeria. The House notes that the Faculty of Engineering, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, recently unveiled its first 5-seater electric car, christened Lion Ozumba 551. The House also notes that the car, which is said to be part of the drive to accord innovation and technology attention in the institution, was made with 80% locally sourced materials and can cover a 30-kilometer distance when fully charged. Aware that in 2014, an undergraduate of the Faculty of Engineering, Obafemi Awolowo University, Segun Oyeyola, converted a Volkswagen Beetle into the wind and solar-powered car. Cognizant that given the wanton environmental pollution and renewed campaign for a greener source of energy for transportation, any vehicle that is environmental friendly and doesn't emit toxic gases should be encouraged. Also cognizant that tertiary institutions are essential for the delivery, discovery, proper dissemination, and application of knowledge, and countries that prioritize research are usually more equipped to deal with new challenges and technological advances. The House appreciates the tenacity of tertiary institutions in Nigeria and high-flying students who have, against all odds, continued to push the limits to ensure Nigeria competes favorably with other developing economies. Believes that research is essential to economic and sustainable development, and if tertiary institutions in the country are adequately funded, it could result in an industrial revolution for the country. The House resolves to urge the federal government to adequately fund institutions involved in research in the production of electric and solar cars. The House also urges the National Automotive Design and Development Council to design a workable plan on how to produce electric cars in commercial quantities in Nigeria, using homegrown human capital. Finally, the House mandates the Committees on Tertiary Education and Services, Land Transport, Environmental and Science and Technology to engage stakeholders to design a 10-year action plan to improve the research capabilities of Nigeria's tertiary institutions with the intent to improve the automotive industry. I so move, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Kruger, you want to second? Oh, sorry. I haven't given you the mic.
I am Kiruka Onyejoch. I represent the good people of Isukwatu Munoj, Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to second this motion, ably moved by our number 3, he for she, Honorable Benson Babajimi, for writing his name on gold yesterday. I so second. Honorable Baba Jimmy Benson just got into the Hall of Fame. He's our number 3, he for she, on this floor.
What did he do?
Because of what he did yesterday.
What did he do?
He represented you very well yesterday on the additional seat that you sponsored.
Oh.
So sir,
then
we
you
thank
made him,
you. We thank our number 2, he for sure. Then we are making Honorable Baba Jimmy Benson our number 3.
he for who's number 1? Who's number 2?
No, you are number 1.
Who's number 2?
Yes, the chairman of Constitution Review.
Okay.
Baba Jimmy is number 3.
Okay. Okay. Honorable Jimmy Benson's motion, seconded by the Deputy Chief Whip. I'll put the question. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. The 8th order of the day is a motion on urgent need to combat unemployment and social vices through establishment of industries across the Federation, standing in the name of Honorable Chinedu Emeka Martins. Honorable Martins is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Emeka Chinedu. I represent the good people of Ahia Zumbise. This is the federal constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Imo State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the motion on the urgent need to combat unemployment and social vices through establishment of industries across the Federation. Mr. Speaker, the House notes that the unprecedented rate of unemployment is the root of the social vices currently experienced in the country, and 33.3% unemployment and the 28% youth unemployment rate, amounting to over 11 million unemployed youth, verify the lack of cottage industries in the country, which should have played a critical role in engaging youthful energy positively in the production of raw material as well as semi-finished products. Thus, distract young people from taking up social vices as the only alternative for survival and social mobility. The House is cognizant of the need for the comprehensive industrial revolution intervention at this point in the history of our nation, given the recent development in the political, social, and economic spheres of the country, which emphasize the fact that youth are important stakeholders in the Nigerian project. The House is aware that the predominance of industrial clusters in the Southeast Asian countries has motivated industrial growth in the form of gross domestic product, GDP, and massive decline in unemployment, making a way for stability in the country. Making stability in the country, in the economy, political, and leadership, and lower crime rates as a result of their remarkable success in industrialization. The House is also aware that similar strategy of building cottage industries has worked agreeable in some African countries like Rwanda, Mozambique, Ghana, and South Africa, an indication that grassroots industrialization produces an array of positive economic and social impacts. The House is therefore worried that Nigeria is yet to positively harness the human capital resources accruing from its youthful population through the creation of industrial clusters to engage the youth. The House therefore believes that it has become imperative for the government to re-strategize by establishing industries in the 360 federal constituencies, which would play a critical role in curbing the unemployment problems and boost the country's gross domestic product. Also, the House believes that such an industrial revolution scheme, if implemented and sustained, will entrench the culture of hard work, regrow moral values lost in the wake of cybercrime human trafficking, kidnapping, and drug consumption. Further believes that citing industries in the 360 federal constituencies will facilitate federal presence at the grassroots and positively impact lives of rural dwellers through employment infrastructural development. Envisages that a comprehensive industrialization scheme targeting both extractive and manufacturing stages, as well as the processing of agricultural produce into semi-finished products for internal consumption and possible export, while establishing cottage industries based on the needs assessment and viability in the 360 federal constituencies of the Federation to combat unemployment and drive grassroots industrial growth. The House therefore resolved, 1, urge the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to urgently develop a comprehensive template for the establishment of industries across the Federation. 2, mandate the Committee on Industry and Commerce to ensure compliance. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Legislator.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Taufik Abimbola Ajilesoro, now representing the good people of Ife Federal Constituency in Osun State. I'm from the source, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as heavily moved by my honorable colleague, also second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Okay, those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Honorable Sir, what was that? Before I hit the hammer, what was that?
Of this motion, we can be able to add flesh on possible roadmap through which an industrial revolution can come.
You want to add flesh to it?
So I believe that a motion like this are good avenue for us to look at it from academic point of view, holistically, and be able to make a better recommendation, through which our country can blossom. And I believe it's a good motion. And I also believe that should be a roadmap on industrial revolutions. I also believe that government has the duty, to be able to position the environment effectively for trials of private investment into our country. And, Mr. Speaker, investment cannot go in without the justice system and without the security issues. We have been able to exercise a lot of effort in making sure, even you, Mr. Speaker, inaugurated a committee to go to Lagos and fashion out these laws. Most of these laws has been passed because that is the content upon which the private investments are going to base. And as I'm talking to you today, Mr. Speaker, you transmitted this bill to Senate, and up till now, Senate has not concurred. And we're talking issues of security. So these are issues. So what our honorable members have raised is order. And I believe raising these kind of issues and be able to bring ideas and generate more ideas for us to bring about industrial revolution. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Good. So you have cleverly contributed to the motion before we hit the gavel. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, the ad hoc committee set up for the motion moved by Honorable Bagos on What? What is that?
No, this is not going to work. And they're all of them. Wait. All right. The other committee has, on the resolution of the House on the trapped funds in banks, will be headed by Honorable Idem. Members, Honorable Kuya Ademori, Honorable Olaniwaju Edu, Honorable Afolabi Olalekon, Honorable Bio, Honorable Rahis, Munir Ahmed, Honorable Chinedu Martins, Honorable Moma, Honorable Ben Kalu, Honorable Chinyere, Honorable Bello Magari, Honorable Ahmed Gololo, Pam Soko, Salam Bamidele, Honorable Adile Shoro, Honorable Adejari, Honorable Shabad Ibrahim. Honorable Idem, Mr. Chairman. The ninth order of the day is a motion on need to ensure the safety in the electricity distribution network, standing in the name of Honorable Sani Bala. Honorable Bala is invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Sani Bala is not on the floor.
He's not on the floor, eh?
I'm here. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Sorry, maybe I've not done the ritual today. I've not come to say hello. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Engineer Sani Bala, the Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and the motion is on the need to ensure safety in the electricity distribution network. The House note that Section 6, Paragraph A and F of the Nigerian Electricity Management Agency Act, number 6 of 2015, mandates the agency to carry out electrical inspector services for the Nigerian electricity supply industry and impose compliance with safety requirements of construction, operations, and maintenance of electrical power plants, transmission system, distribution network, and electrical installations. Also note that in the last quarter of 2018, a report by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NIC, indicated that there were 136,396 complaints from customers about the negligence of electricity distribution companies, DISCOs, which has jumped to 151,938 in the first quarter of 2019. Concerned that the negligence of electricity safety is increasingly claiming lives and causing injuries to both electricity sector workers and others, is a report of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission alleging that approximately 2 persons died of electrocution every fortnight during the first quarter of 2019, as compared to the third quarter, where roughly 3 persons died of electrocution fortnightly. Chief Whip, please, we need order in the House. Concerned that the negligence of electricity safety is increasingly claiming lives and causing injuries to both electricity sector workers and others, with report of a Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission alleging that approximately 2 persons died of electrocution every fortnight during the first quarter of 2019, as compared to the third quarter, where roughly 3 persons died of electrocution fortnightly. Also concerned that the death rate arising from the electricity safety negligence in Nigeria are gradually equating the recurrent newspaper headlines of death rate from insurgency, banditry, and communal clashes. Further concerned that there are numerous tragedies caused by the disregard of municipal laws regarding the siting of residences and recreational center around electric installation or under high tension wires or near electric poles or transformers, thereby causing residents to danger. Disturbed that apart from the dangling high tension cables and vast evidences of unprotected transformers and electricity infrastructure in community, there are also negligence of expiration of lifespan of the infrastructure, being a major cause of surge and eventual explosions. Worried that despite launching of the Nigerian Electricity Installation and Construction Guidelines Manual, NELCOM, to guide contractors and power sector operators on the installation and construction of electricity infrastructure in the country, more than 1 year later, the Nigerian Electricity Service Management Agency has not matched words with the action in a bid to ensuring electricity safety, as accident, death, and injuries have persisted under the sector. The House therefore resolved to mandate the Committee on Power to investigate 1. Incidences of death and accident caused by the negligence of electrical safety in the distribution network around the country, vis-a-vis safety measures, including the existence and role of safety department of distribution companies. 2, the capacity of the Nigerian Electricity Management Service Agency to adequately carry out its mandate of policing electricity safety in the distribution network, as well as overall effectiveness of the Nigerian electricity supply industry, given the vast investment in the power sector. 3, also mandate the Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure compliance. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Maki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honorable colleagues, I'm Abubakar Maki Eldeman. I'm from Jigawa State. I represent Malamuduru Kaugama Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I raise to second the motion heavily moved by my honorable colleagues, Honorable Engineer Sani Bala. I so second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Those in support. Amendment, Honorable Abiante, what's your amendment?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My distinguished colleagues, Awaji Nombek Dagomie Abiante, Anthony Obobo Nkoro Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, I rise to make an amendment by having a third prayer, which is to also mandate the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency and other relevant agencies to recover already built up right of way and ensure strict compliance to all requisite and applicable setbacks.
Check the clock, is there? Thank you. Any seconder to that? Is that engineer? Yes, engineer. Engineer Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Kani Abiodun Johnson. I represent the good people of Oshodi Solo, Federal Constituency 2. I rise to second the amendment ably moved by my colleague. I so second. Thank you.
Those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, there's a slight amendment to the earlier motion moved by Honorable Bagos, and that would include Honorable Taiwo, Honorable Abdullah Abubakar, Engineer Sani Bala, and Honorable Abiante. Honorable Landry, please, can you allow us to continue? Yes, leader, Chairman of Business and Rules.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Safulata. I represent Brenewa, Krika Samaguri Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do adjourn to tomorrow, Thursday, 27th of January 2022. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support of PCI, or rather a second for adjournment, I'm sorry. Have you just come in? Really? Okay. Honorable Babao.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I'm Ejaha Babao, Chibok Dambo, Goza Federal Constituency. I rise to second a motion ably moved by the Chairman, Rules and Business, for the adjournment of the sitting to tomorrow. I so second.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it.